recent history, we have had a couple of events that basically changed the dynamics of our lives. There's like the ending to the Cold War. There was also the 9/11 attacks, which basically changed the way of our dynamics in society and gathered a lot of attention to terrorism, which led to more terrorism. But fight fire with fire, right? And these events just suddenly changed the dynamics of our society, and it's crazy because the same thing just recently happened. It was March 11th, 2020, where our Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen just went on national TV and said we have to shut down our entire society for some time. And it was crazy. It was my little sister's birthday. I remember it vividly, and I was laying in bed and I was confused. I was really confused, and now we had to suddenly live by new rules, sort of, and new norms that we had to sort of take care of, or in some way just abide by. And I was also surprised because initially when the Prime Minister went on TV, then people started leaving their houses to go and buy toilet paper. Now, a quick side note, we were in a pandemic situation. A deadly virus was spreading throughout our society, and people thought it was fitting to go down and buy toilet paper. I don't think I can see the irony or the sarcasm in it, but it's sort of funny. But it also made me think that civilization, it's basically an illusion that we have created to like keep everybody in check, so that everybody is not doing stupid things or being criminal. It's like it's a good power tool, and it's working sort of, but not when a pandemic happened. Then we need to get our toilet paper and potatoes and stuff. So it's very crazy, and that was just on a national level. It also happened throughout the world with the toilet paper thing. And it made me think about the United States. You know, they're probably the biggest consumer society in the world, the leading consumers, and they have an interesting president, to say the least. But it also made me think about how the society of America is built, because I feel like the society of America is more or less a business. I read this article where it had a statistic where it said that for when the employment rate goes up by 1%, then 40,000 Americans die, working poor Americans. And yeah, it made me just think about that. People can't afford their children not being in school because lunch money and getting lunch at school and all those things. It's like everything's a budget, and the American state wanted to start the process of opening the society way sooner than expected, and of course everything blew up. And it just made me feel like that, you know, there is actually a price on human lives, that the human life is actually very brittle, and it's actually way more expensive than we could have thought. And that's why I'm personally appreciating that we live in Denmark, where we are a bit more humane. And when I had to think about other things to like put this in perspective too, I fell over this TED Talk with Bill Gates. A TED Talk where Bill Gates, he says that the world is not ready for a virus or a pandemic. The world is ready for war because we've been preparing for war for all of our lives. The American defense budget is like $400 billion. It's crazy. And we've been ready for war all of our lives, but not for a pandemic. And that was in 2015. And look where we are now, right? And like that foreshadowing made me really think about the Shakespeare play Macbeth. The part where the witches, they foreshadow Macbeth's entire destiny and make it all seem like that he is living the life down to the exact pinpoint that the witches made. And it's crazy that we sit here and Bill Gates was right, and Shakespeare was also kind of right in some way, that Macbeth would be ready for war but wouldn't be ready for anything else. That Macbeth wouldn't be ready for not a coronavirus, but but a but being outsmarted. You know, it's crazy to put those things in perspective, and especially that it's a Shakespearean play, which is like 400 or 500 years ago. But that was all I had to say. So thank you for listening. Take care.